The War on the Dark Continent. I remember that, Jeffries. Oh, another round for the table of brass. Bring me the brandy Beauregard. Oh, hello. Welcome to Heathen Book Review, featuring Chris.
The fuck?
And Riggs. Are we still fucking doing this? Providers of quality reviews and meaningful conversation. Sit with us for a spell as your host. Oh God, is anybody alive? Help me, somebody! Oh God, the children! What about the children?
Well, this is a fucking shit show already. You're listening to the Heathen Book Review, the podcast you listen to right before you pull the trigger.
No. Or yes.
Whichever you want.
Whichever you feel like that day.
Well, this is Wallace.
This is Riggs. Thanks for joining us. Stay classy.
Yeah, we don't. At all.
This is episode 3 of Heathen Book Review. We are the best book review podcast of a terrible nature around.
Yep.
Participation award-winning class. This episode, we will be reviewing Culture of the Teutons by Vilhelm Gronbech. This book you'll encounter fairly often. Most scholarly circles, suggest it as one of the first books you throw out. We'll go through, give it a fair review. But first, anything new with you, Chris?
Oh, God.
Besides the herpes, obviously.
Yeah, I've been to the doctor for that. He gave me a pill. I guess it doesn't work, though.
Nope.
No, I don't want the herp. But no. Yeah, just wrapping up a long-ass holiday weekend, and just had a whole bunch of people over. Had a party with 13-year-olds the weekend, Thursday prior, and it wasn't too terrible, but there was many times I wanted to pull my hair out. Other than that, I've just been super busy with work and looking for other work.
Fun times. Pretty good holiday weekend for me. We went ahead and went to a friend's place for a crawfish boil.
Ooh.
One of the great things about having friends from the South is that you get to have all the fun of the South without all the systematic racism. So
Is that folkish?
No, but we had a good time at a crawfish boil. Good time. Ate my fair weight and the little buggers.
That's a lot of fucking crawfish.
It was a lot of crawfish. Officially have some news on my back.
Oh,
it's terrible.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, my back's fucking awesome, but no, soft tissue damage, most likely a tear of some kind. Looks like at least another month of no squats or deadlifts, so no squat or feist to Broden. But hopefully he'll take my offerings anyways.
Are those Twinkies? Or Hostess cakes?
Well, ho-hos.
Ho-hos? Oh.
Let's be real, son. He gets the highest premium class.
Snack cakes?
Snowballs. Nobody likes snowballs. Of course you would. So I should also mention we have our close friend Mongo with us here today. Mongo, you want to say hello?
Hello.
You want to get up and dance for us?
Let's just say that I did.
He's doing his dance.
It's radio.
It's radio. Mongo actually just came off some surgery himself. Good guy, good friend. He'll chime in occasionally whenever we say something.
Total turd burglar, as he's saying.
Dick tip, cockmonger, turd burglar. New names. Just gave them to them all.
There you go.
So, let's go ahead and... do we want to go ahead and mention some news and greater heathenry? That's our news bulletin. Yeah. So, news and greater heathenry. So
we're going to have to really record you do that.
Oh, God, I hope not.
As like a liner before this actually happens. And actually insert the typewriter noise.
What, mine's not good enough? All right.
No.
Tack attack. So, the Ossetru community, since our last podcast... The Ossetru community has kind of gotten eaten alive, which is kind of funny. They originally were asked to release tax documentation, or at least a breakdown of what they do for veterans. I believe some of the veteran-oriented heathen people kind of got together and released a little article, or at least a little release. They released a release saying that, TAC, what are you doing? You like to say you claim to help veterans... You haven't really published any tax documentation. What do you actually do? They published it eventually. Doesn't look too pretty for them. What was it?
Probably not.
1,200 for a total fiscal year.
Oh my God!
How many members do they have?
I don't know how many.
Oh, they have definitely more than 1,200 members.
Yeah. Well, when it's all online, it's easy to do.
Hey, don't knock their virtual bloats. It's really mystical.
No. Virtual blots.
I'm sorry. Blots. Don't mess with my virtual bloat. We're exchanging frith online. Don't drop your phone, kid. Or Mongo. We'll edit that out. We'll put a beep.
That's fine.
I don't know. I think it puts the nail in the coffin that online communities are not a community.
So, back in the 80s, there was a French philosopher called Jean Baudelaire. And what he said...
Baudelaire.
What he said was that at some point in time, the simulation would be indistinguishable from the simulacra. And right now, online communities are the simulation, and people are unable to distinguish between the simulation and reality right now. They believe that online communities are, such as Facebook and similar things, are real communities. But the rest of us know that it's virtual interaction.
It's cool. And don't get me wrong, I've met some really cool people online. I've met and gained a lot of information from people.
Well, like Fuckstick Mongo over here.
Craigslist.
Wait a minute. Was that under the M for
Adult
M?
wanted ads or whatever.
Was that for the T for M or the M for M or the...
Oh, I believe it was
Missed
Encounters. You were a big guy. I saw you at the coffee counter.
That big ass
I loved
dude.
your long hair.
Please call this number.
Please call this number.
I want to talk to you about stuff. If I talk to you, I mean tie you up in my sex dungeons.
Hey, I'd fuck me.
More on that later.
So definitely, I think it just definitely puts the nail in the proverbial coffin.
Yeah.
They don't do anything.
How about we do this from now on? Whenever we distinguish between a real bloat and sacrifice, and bullshit like the TAC does, we just call it blots.
Well, I'll be honest
Bloat
with you.
versus blot.
I usually just use, because so many people, and I don't want to get too far into this, but so many people use the term bloat to mean, oh hey, I raised a horn and I'm important. I'm important, guys. I'm important. But no, that's why whenever I talk about an actual sacrifice, like a slaughter, I'll just say ritualized slaughter.
There you go.
Most people get it. It's a lot easier. I almost never use the term bloat anymore.
If you're not in the heathen community, you probably don't know what the hell a bloat is anyway. So it's easier just to say slaughter, ritualized slaughter, whatever.
So,
okay, well, I take that statement back.
But we can definitely call them blots.
We're going to still call them blot after Tater and Slim Jim's Fuckfest.
Tater here.
We're gonna get them back in the studio at some point to either do another commercial or
to make sure no boots are on the ground. But
that's another episode.
Look, Tater showed up.
Tater.
So all right, so TAC is pretty pointless.
Yeah.
Do we want to go ahead and go into the irrational, rational heathen?
Oh God. Shit. What was it? The recons are stupid.
Recons are idiots.
Recons
got your attention. Yeah. First line of the article. Let's just have this out. First line in the article is that got your attention. So clearly she's doing clickbait.
Yeah.
On top of that, she's definitely ad hominem. She's definitely insulting people right off the bat while telling people, well, they were mean and insulted me. Clearly is a masturbatory article about how awesome she is and how awesome recons aren't.
Yeah.
She definitely doesn't get the point. She definitely misses it.
Smear face.
She talks more about reenactment than anything. Yeah, she doesn't get it.
Yeah. And there were several people that came up with rebuttal articles after that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there were so many people. The problem is that this definitely kicked up a fire amongst a lot of people on both sides of it, because it was intended to. It was definitely meant to be incendiary. It was definitely meant to poke jabs and stabs at people. So these people all, either you banded with it or you banded against it. The problem is that this person just did not know what they were talking about.
No.
They likened it to a broken cup that you try to put together and then put on a case. No reconstructionist I've ever heard of or talked to or met wants to put this shit on a case. This is a real breathing thing for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. We aren't just here to do this on the weekend. We're building an orthopraxic belief system within the confines of the Germanic worldview. This is an everyday thing. This is a communal thing.
Yeah.
I have 2 people here who are in my group, and they're here with me all the time. I hang out with them all the time. I hang out with everybody else as much as I can. And it's not just hanging out; it's building things.
Yeah,
it's put to use. It's not a cup. I'm not going to rant. I'm
yeah,
about to rant. I'm not going to rant.
We could rant all afternoon on this.
She doesn't get it.
No. She or it or whoever it is. I'm not sure if
no, it's a she.
Is it a she?
Yeah, because there was this whole thing where it was supposedly one person and their authorship posted underneath it, but then they said it wasn't them, it was somebody else, and then the person whose authorship it was posted under posted a rebuttal. Shady, likely a lie, but whatever.
It was a giant fuck fest is what it was.
Go ahead and read it. She doesn't get reconstructionism. Reconstruction.
Reconstructionalism?
She doesn't get reconstruction. So, yeah, I don't know. That was recon. Do. Did you seriously just start fucking humming Terminator 2?
Oh, yeah.
That was fucking sexy.
That is the best.
But, I mean, she doesn't get it.
No.
And then all the people who are like, yeah, fuck the recons. I'm like, all right, then why are you doing all recon shit?
Yeah, we go ahead and recreate the wheel. Please.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we're definitely recreating the wheel, but we're actually using a form to do it.
It's like we said in the first podcast when we asked the question, what is recon? Reconstruct, not recreate an exact clone or an exact copy.
We don't care what anybody else thinks anyway.
I don't give a fuck.
Fuck them.
What works for us is all that matters.
Yep. Speaking of which, our hate mail inbox is looking a little
anorexic,
barren, or anorexic.
I'm guessing we just don't piss people off enough, and I'm gonna have to get over this.
I don't know, man. We had up to 100 views as of today. I was pretty happy.
Was it
about
100?
that.
I was actually checking right now. My vanity.
Well, on the actual account, it said there was 99, but when I checked yesterday, it said there was 100.
It's 100 now, motherfucker, because I'm watching it.
It's Inception.
Planting mint. God, that guy right there, he sounds like such a cockass.
He is.
Any other news? How about that gorilla?
Jesus Christ. I think enough people are covering the gorilla fiasco.
But they shot a gorilla! We here at Heathen Book Review have no fucking opinion about the gorilla. However, kids we have an opinion on.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, don't forget, if you were butthurt, about these episodes, feel free to email us at hbrsucks@gmail.com.
You don't have to just do it if you're butthurt. We're not looking necessarily for hate mail, though we are hoping to piss off enough people because we're just assholes.
Yeah.
But don't email us if you want hate mail. Email us if you want us to do a book. If you want us to review a book for you. This first half, we try to fuck it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Show our asses a bit. But the second half, we do legit book reviews as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a book you want us to get to, let us know. If we haven't read it, we'll read it. If we have read it, we'll read it again and review it. Send some feedback.
And we will try to obtain it. If it's a very rare book or if it's a very expensive book, we'll try to get around that. But try to keep it, kind of modest in price because I can't afford a $100 book right now.
So I looked up this sword fighting book based on a Germanic text from the 1300s.
Oh,
$170.
we got him hooked.
It's called the MSI 33, and there's only one translation that's being worked on right now, it's $170 for that.
Hey,
that's not uncommon, unfortunately.
If we,
it was one of the first known fight books that was ever recorded.
In what century was it?
Like 13th century, 12 or 13.
Holy shit!
13 or 14, I think. Actually,
I mean, at that point, you're getting into late, early medieval.
Yeah.
So,
well, once we get this, the
stuff.
The book binding and the book, whatchamacallit going.
Beep. Sorry.
Apparently, we want to keep that on the down.
Apparently.
Back to our scheduled regular program.
I could have told you that.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with binding our own out of copyright material.
Yes.
And if it's in the 13th century, I'm fairly certain it's out of copyright.
Well, it's the translation.
You guys are fucking terrible at this. Yes, I know the translation.
I mean, we could probably get
B.
the original manuscript. Not the original, but a copy of the original manuscript.
Back to our regular
I'm not putting
schedule.
in the time to figure out what the hell the original manuscript is.
You got to learn the language and then you got to translate it.
Well, if it's 13th century German, it's probably going to be. It could still be Old High German, especially since it's written.
Let
but
me
it
put it
could
another
be.
way. I'm not trying to learn the German longsword off of woodcut drawings in the 13th century. It can be done. Obviously, people do it.
Yeah.
Not this guy.
We got other stuff to worry about.
That is a lifetime of study.
Yeah. We'll let somebody else do that, and we'll pay
And
them
I'll study
handsomely
what
for
they're
their
doing.
pay them handsomely for their work.
Actually, I wouldn't mind finding somebody who does speak pretty fluently Old High German.
That'd be nice.
I'm sure you could,
Yeah.
especially if people are translating it.
The problem is I got to get good enough at German to learn Old High German because everything in Old High German is written into German.
Yeah.
So the
Or,
good thing is that it's basically like learning Old English.
Or we could talk to some people who know some Low German.
I mean, Low German would be good.
Low German's still used today.
I don't think we know anybody that knows any Low German varieties. I'm being facetious.
I know.
So,
You son of a bitch.
I mean, Low Saxon, Old Saxon, Low Saxon. All right, I think we've beaten this one with a square round peg. Commercial time?
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, no, we do have one more thing.
Oh?
If you're listening to this right now, there's a very good chance it started too late. That's your own fault. But a Heathmoot 2016 in the Heartland Heathmoot. Happening in Columbus, well, near Columbus, Ohio. It's actually in Logan, or near Logan. No, it's hey, I'm actually when people helping put it on. Hey.
Yay.
But it is currently scheduled for June 17th through 19th. $40 per adult. Kids under 16 get in free. End of registration is June 3rd. We probably won't even have this out by then. But if you haven't gotten registered and you want to, let us know as soon as possible. And yeah, come on out. Nothing's big or special. No super high events. We're going to have a couple presentations of people who volunteer. Mm-hmm. Mostly just sitting around having a good time. I think Bob might be coming out. Bob the Same.
Oh,
Name dropping that one.
yeah.
Bob the Same. And if he does, we will try to have a special broadcast from there.
We'll try.
We'll try. Not triad. That is a Chinese criminal gang.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
We bring the ruckus.
All right, I think it's time to get to our sponsors.
I think there's a time to shoot us.
Yeah. So bear with us.
Sorry, Mongo just showed me goddamn gorilla memes.
God damn it, Mongo.
Put the gorilla memes away.
We're gonna put you in that cage with the goddamn gorillas.
I feel sorry for the gorilla. All right, now
Likes butt sex.
let's go ahead and get a couple words from our sponsors. Hopefully better than the last fucks.
Yeah, hopefully the fucking marketing team didn't fuck this up.
I'm sure
we'll
they
see.
did. I'm sure
They're
did.
incompetent dickbags, but we give them the benefit of the doubt.
I saw like 2 bottles of MD 2020 on the way in. So
An Old Irish Rose?
Wild Irish Rose?
Oh, Wild Irish Rose?
It's Old English Wild Irish Rose.
Oh.
Run your fucking drink.
Ugh.
That sounds like it's half the budget right there.
Yeah, it's half the budget.
That is half the budget.
The other half is Red Bull. Sugar-free Red Bull.
Yes.
So words from our sponsors. Don't hold it against us. Nestled in the foothills near the banks of the Ohio River, there lies a place of wonder. Here at the Cincinnati Zoo, you'll witness the magical giraffe, the gentle giants. God, another kid is in the gorilla enclosure. I'm sorry, Bessie. So come on down to the wonderful place on the river and experience memories of last year life. Not responsible for any related incidents.
We know how special and important a bond like being a god love priest is. However, like any romance, things can get stale between you and your god over time. I know my relationship with Jormungandr and Freya needed some spicing up. Fuck. That's why me and Wolfheart Fenris Lover here founded the God Spouse and Love House.
Indeed.
things had gotten into a rut with my husband Fenris. We needed new and interesting ways to be intimate with one another. Breathe new life into our marriage and priesthood. A place where people understood my need to be tied up and beaten with a wolf paw for hours at a time until I achieved my full mental wolf transformation and then be muzzled like my beloved.
We offer a variety of opportunities with an assortment of packages made to fit anything you and your deity desire. Our base package includes sacred mead flavored lube, 200 feet of non-kinking rope, and a personal massage idol of your choice. Also, 2 nights of intense, sweaty connection with your god or goddess. Fuck.
Or, if you need more intense experience, we have dedicated priests to every god of every kind that are ready to be imbued with your god's energy to make all your dreams come true. So, if Odin hasn't been slipping you the one eye lately, or Zeus just hasn't been appearing before your dreams in a shower of gold, come to the God Spouse Love House.
Located in the heart of Massachusetts off of exit 69. Call and reserve your weekend. Group rates are available.
No medical staff on site.
Nothing is worse than being a heathen knowing your non-heathen friends think your totally cool new hammer is racist. All because you commented them while watching Gangland about how heathenry isn't about race. They don't mention it, but you know they are judging you.
Which is why we support an anti-racist message. However, in recent years, there has been pushback against those who are against racism. That's where heathens unified against racism and those who are totally united against those who are against racism come in, or HUA, RC, WA, CU, AC, WAAR, for short.
We here at Heathens Unified Against Racialism, and those who are totally united against those who are against racism are against those who are against those who fight the racist ideology of the modern heathen community.
We will gladly continue this pointless argument of universalist versus folkish, as it clearly hasn't been done enough. This totally hasn't been proven to be irrelevant in modern as-true, so we will continue this argument until there aren't any more groups that oppose groups that oppose racism.
We here at HUAT, WATUATWAAR will do such productive things as rehash old pointless arguments in fresh, just as pointless ways, complain about everything we do not like in a way that turns off everyone outside of our group off to our possible respectable view, and push a heavy and ridiculous personal vendetta, agenda, that's just as ineffectual as it is childish.
We can also promise you is that we will not attempt to open a dialogue with such people. Why would we? They never listen. They are too far entrenched in their self-validating mindset to ever be willing to evaluate your opinions or have meaningful debate on the matter. Also, we are clearly right after all, and as such, any tactic is unacceptable. We will even go as far as to call for blood if we ever find out that the person that gives our group direction has made any attempt to create a dialogue. Ever.
So please consider donating to Who Are Twat at War. It's a very powerful cause. Join today, quickly though, before we decide you are also part of the problem.
Operators are standing by.
Welcome back to the Heathen Book Review, the podcast that will push your fucking kid into the gorilla enclosure if it doesn't shut the hell up.
The fuck? I'm tired of hearing about this fucking gorilla.
I know.
How the fuck did we get a commercial for this goddamn gorilla?
Fucking marketing, man. They're over there waving their MD 2020s in the air, fucking pulling their dicks out.
Oh, no, there's a gun. Oh, okay, it's just a water gun full of MD 2020.
Ugh, and they're shooting it into each other's mouths.
Oh, yeah, at least they're old English. Is that heathen? Is that folkish?
It is folkish. Not the old English language. But
Is it as folkish as the Godspell's Love House?
Jesus Christ.
Flavored lubes. Sacred mead.
Sacred
lubes.
mead flavored lube.
Who
The fuck?
God damn it.
What was the one before that?
Oh, that was our not racial friends against racism.
Oh my goodness.
Those fucking
You
guys.
are twat at war.
Fucking people. I hate humanity.
So not they aren't against racist. They are against those who are against those who are against racism.
That's what I gathered, yes.
just go ahead and fucking shoot me. Literally finding things to be mad about.
Definitely grasping at straws here.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the actual book review.
You know, the fun part, the actual enjoyable part of this whole fucking
The actual point of it all.
Yeah.
As mentioned before, we will be reviewing Culture of the Teutons or Culture of the Teutons. I've heard both.
Jotons.
Not Jotons.
Oh, okay.
But written by Vilhelm Gronbech. It is actually 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
A little older. Originally written in Dutch, I believe.
I believe so.
Or
yes.
Latin, one of the two. Or I could be completely wrong about that. However, the versions we both have are translated to English.
It's first printed in Danish.
My bad. It's a Danish. Just eat all those Danishes that get stuck right here.
I love Danishes.
So originally published in Danish. It is a fairly good book. First impressions, Chris. Do you want to go? You want me to go first?
I'll take the helm for the impressions. This is one of the first books that was recommended to me when I first got into Recon, along with We Are Deeds. I thought this one was actually really good. It's divided into two volumes. It's pretty big. It's pretty
There's actually
hefty.
3.
3 volumes?
There are, but the third one is extremely small.
Oh, well, fuck.
It's more like a extended article.
Okay, well, I didn't know that because my book from Amazon isn't set up like that. But I think it's a pretty good book. A lot of people complain about it being dry or too hard to read, and this, that, and the other thing. And I've told people in the past to just break it up by chapter, digest the material, and move on. If you don't grasp it yet, move on, and then come back eventually, because some of it correlates to itself later on in the book. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it was a pretty good book. I know this is one that I suggest to new people all the time. Mm-hmm. I do often hear about how much of a drone he is. I've never minded him. He does use a lot of examples, but I personally find that to be a very good thing.
Oh yeah.
He breaks down his theories into base proofs and concepts. Still the best general book I know of a Germanic worldview. He literally hits on every single large concept: honor, luck, worth, frith, the institutions within it. What you were with a Nithe, Neath, whatever you both have heard. He literally just hits on everything. Mm-hmm. It is a little thicker, and we should go ahead and mention the physical copies and the issues surrounding that. We'll call them issues.
That's a polite way of saying it.
So, anybody who's been in the greater Heathen community for more than a couple minutes knows that there have been issues, within groups. One of those issues is the publication of this book and whether people should buy it or not. As of right now, as far as I know, the version that is published is the only published version. There are PDFs floating around. I know I actually use PDFs all the time. I use the PDF on this, which is why sometimes my page numbers do not match up with his page numbers, because some of them are from an older version. Mm-hmm. But there is some controversy around this book, whether you should buy it on Amazon or not. I know my opinion is, if it's a book that you need and you need to read it physically, then you should get it physically. If you don't need to read it physically, I'm all about saving money. It's not terribly expensive, but some people have some other issues surrounding it.
Yeah.
We won't really get into it too much here. You can just go on any group and ask. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do definitely say this is a good book. You want to go ahead and start with your discussion topics?
Yes. I'm going to cover the first chapter, which is we're not going to cover the whole damn book, because it'd be a huge podcast and it'd take us way too long. So we're gonna cover some of the important tidbits.
Just think of it as one of the reasons to read these books. We're going to try to highlight the good information that's published in these books, or if we read a bad book or a book that is less than of quality. It's just the things that you'll find in this book and why we've given it the rating we have.
On the topic of frith, which is the first chapter, this word is thrown around a lot in heathen communities, Asatru communities, whatever you call them. Asatru.
Vanatru.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to parrot the word. A lot of them don't really understand it. A lot of people just assume, it's just peace. But after reading this chapter, it kind of gives more detail as to what frith is. I'm going to use my first citation is going to be on page 13, and is the first chapter. And it says, "We find here a community based upon general unity, mutual self-sacrifice, and self-denial, and the social spirit." That word right there, mutual self-sacrifice, is something that kind of strikes with me, because I think when I think of frith, it's not just, oh, I'm going to keep the peace, or I got to maintain these, got to make sure my relationships are still good with my friends, but it's the mutual self-sacrifice, willingness to honestly lay down your life for your kinsman. That was one of my citations there. If you go forward to 18, it's actually a pretty big chunk. "If ever word bore the mark of the transforming influence of Christianity and humanism, it is the word frith. If we look closer into the older significance of the word, we shall find something sterner, a firmness that has now given place to weakness. The frith of earlier days was less passive than now, with less of submissiveness and more of will. It held also an element of passion, which has now been submerged in quietism." I think that's also a pretty important citation there regarding the actual nature of frith. It isn't just like turn the other cheek or keep quiet just to make sure the peace is maintained.
So what Gronbech is saying, and I'm just trying to make sure we're getting this out. So what Gronbech is saying is that it wasn't more of a, well, I'm just going to let things go, but very much more of, you done fucked up.
Yeah. Like you were essentially required to make sure
you resolved the issue versus letting the issue float away.
Yeah, rather than burying your head in the sand. And I think finally on my stint of frith, I'll give you this quote from page 33 in the book. I'm not sure what it is on the PDF.
And just to mention, he is using the published book.
Yes.
That is by Jotun's Bane Kindred.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. "Such then is the frith which in ancient days united kinsmen one with another, a love which can only be characterized as a feeling of identity so deeply rooted that neither sympathy nor antipathy, I guess that's the word, nor any humor or mood can make it ebb or flow." I think which ties back to the idea of mutual self-sacrifice. If you love your kinsmen, and not just romantic love, the love to lay down your life for them is I think more important than just, like we've said, burying your head in the sand and making sure shit just stays the status quo. You fix your shit and you resolve your issues and make sure frith is not broken.
I mean, that sounds pretty legit to me.
What we got next? What's the next one?
Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and mention luck.
Okay.
Luck is the soul of the tribe. So one of the things I do love about this book is, and I think Chris touched on this earlier, is very modular. Mm-hmm. While there is definitely linear concept building, you read frith and then you read honor, and honor is honor is the body of the tribe.
I believe so.
And then you have luck, and luck is the soul of the tribe.
Sorry, no. Honor the soul of the tribe.
Sorry. Honor is the soul of the tribe, and then
it was luck, and then luck is the of the tribe. Let me get to it. Sorry.
Come on.
The life of the clan.
Sorry. Luck is the life of the tribe or clan, and honor is the life or the body of the clan.
Soul of the clan.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all right.
I should just read off my paper because it's right on my paper. So either way, honor is the soul of the clan, and luck is the, just to make sure,
life.
I'm just fucking with you. Life is the luck of the clan, or luck is the life of the clan. So you definitely have these linear concepts being built within the chapters, but essentially you can be like, oh, I'm going to read this chapter, and it's going to be almost compartmentalized, which is extremely awesome. The chapter titles, thusly, are pretty easily and simple descriptive. Luck, for instance, and luck is the life of the tribe. Those are pretty clear and obvious what those are about, or at least fairly straightforward. You were right there, Mongo?
Old age is kicking in.
Mongo's getting tired.
He's almost 40, ladies and gentlemen.
No, he's not almost 40.
Anyway.
I'm more than halfway to 40.
So, but then you have another chapter named Honor, and, Honor is the, life of the clan. Nope. I'm just fucking with you.
God damn it.
It's too easy.
You made me pull up my damn book again.
But so you have these built, and they build a foundation across. But this entire book is just literally a good foundation of Germanic society in a quick picture. Now, is it wrong on some things? That could be argued. This was also written well over 100 years ago, and there are good things that we'll talk about in a minute that pair with this book very well to kind of fulfill a better scope. But it definitely promotes, a base foundation. According to Gronbech, for instance, luck was viewed as a necessary part of the community. It was almost considered a life force, as we would, but it's a little bit more indifferent than that. When it was strong, you yourself was strong. When it failed, you failed. You could be sea gifted, you could be fertility gifted, you could be sea self, or you could be gifted in victory. Sig is victory. I'm trying to remember what it actually translates to. It's like Sigurd, one of the two. But if you were missing luck, then you were ostracized from society, at least according to Gronbech. This was neither, which I've heard both. That was the idea, is that if you didn't have luck, or your luck was broken through inaction or action, then you were essentially kicked out of the community because you were essentially a luck leech. Now, when he referred to luck, it wasn't in the modern sense of the word, and this is something that's very important, but rather an archaic version of the word. Luck is not the same as we mean luck. Gronbech goes on about the role of the king and the chieftain, king/chieftain in the concept. For instance, if a king fell at the head of an army, the battle was over. There was nothing more to fight, because without a king, there was no fight. The king or chieftain was a ruler because his luck was considered to be the highest, and through him, everyone's luck was higher. Kind of imagine this as, I don't want to say a pyramid scheme, but through him, luck continued on. So his luck kind of fed the tribe itself. And for instance, if he was in battle and his luck failed, he died, and the other king or chieftain's luck was greater, then the people dispersed because they had no luck, or their luck was just definitely not as great. Gronbech states that a king would put his luck behind actions and would carry his weight behind it. For instance, say somebody came to the king with a proposition or asking to be a retainer. If the king said, yes, you have essentially my blessing, or you have my will behind it, then the plan was supposed to be in good luck. It was supposed to be fortified and was going to be completed if the king's luck held. If the king said, I have nothing to do with this, then it was very much the opposite, obviously. A king would have luck in life in all facets, whereas one person might be sea gifted, or one person might be fertility gifted. A king would be everything. A king is essentially a jack of all trades, of a master of all trades, more of anything. He would be, his farm would grow strong, or his people's farm would grow strong. Cattle would fatten. They'd have an ever plenty of supply. There wouldn't be famine. His men would grow strong. There would be many children born, all under his rule. Now Gronbech does go on to say that the strength of the luck in kings was not necessarily in its amount, but rather its type. Though, if they were a king, they had a high amount of that type as well. This is found on page 159 on the chapters I have, which was the PDF. This is the foundation of kingship comes in. In Gronbech's words, a king had very little formal power. Instead, men followed him because he was more capable than others. The concept of luck was hereditary, not necessarily the title. So, luck would be passed on to your children, but necessarily not the title of king or chieftain, because men followed whoever they wanted to follow, which was whoever was strongest. He goes into this well as a concept of hamya and that what gets passed on. All in all, he gets fairly in-depth on the subject across the two chapters. He well illustrates his point and cites numerous examples of how luck works in his context. His evaluation of the concept of luck is a common one touted, and for fairly good reason. He put a lot of citations on what luck is, how one could break it, and what he believed happened if one was considered luckless, as in Grettir/Grittir or Gisli. For instance, Gisli actually committing a profane act in a sacred space, in a sacred time, and therefore his luck was broken. So, but yeah, I mean, he hits it really hard. And the thing is he hits all the concepts like this hard.
Like the first 5 chapters is pretty top heavy with
they're definitely
concepts.
the bigger chapters too.
Yeah, and then it kind of just. I'm not gonna say they dwindle, but they shorten as the book goes on.
Well, he gets more specialized.
Yeah,
he gets into more. This is this one subject on this one matter. For instance, he talks about the luckless in the luck chapter, but then he actually has an entire chapter on the luckless itself. And I think that's like chapter like 19 or 20 or something. But another big chapter was honor. Mm-hmm. You know, do you want to go ahead and hit on that a bit, or you want me to go ahead and hit on that a bit?
You go ahead and start, because mine follows up to the initial concept of honor.
So honor is, once again, not one of those words that is the same. They now have changed through, corruption of the language, growth.
Christian baggage.
Well, yeah, because Christianity was kind of against murdering people. Well, in theory.
Yeah.
So, like, the biggest example that Gronbech throws out in the beginning is Old Man Harvard. His son was murdered, and he lamented, he just laid in bed for years, physically incapable of standing up. Occasionally, his wife would come and poke him and say, you need to go get this resolved. This needs to be fixed. They took a good son from us. So he works to get restitution, and eventually Harvard's farm falls into disrepair and just maliceness. Gronbech states that he had been given a great shame. He had literally had the luck taken from him, a loss of honor that had been shaken the older man to weakness. Literally physically made him weak, because honor itself is a lifeblood that flows through us. Gronbech uses this example to describe how even a secure person could be shaken by the loss of honor. Harvard becomes a figurative cripple man overnight, but when restitution was at hand, in the form of, I believe the man was caught in a fjord, and his wife's like, he's here, he's captured, what are you going to do about it? He literally springs from bed, fully healed, ready to regain his honor from his son being killed, and he does. He goes and murders the guy. Bloodshed was the only way to retain the honor, or to regain the honor, and that was a large way. I think you had something about honor on this.
Yeah. It actually feeds into what I was going to say about vengeance. Reminds me like a Judas Priest song when I'm talking about vengeance.
I think of breaking the law.
Or Scream for Vengeance.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
Yeah, my quote on vengeance, part of the honor chapter, is 43 in the published book. It is, vengeance then consists in taking something from the other party. One procures honor from him. One will have one's honor back, not honors. So vengeance for blood. That was the only way to procure your honor back from somebody else. And it had to be somebody of equal worth. Or higher?
Or higher. I believe he talks about going into... So say you took a higher ranked member of your family. Mm-hmm. They would go and murder an essentially the same ranked person. Even if the person who committed the act was the person who did it, it was more of the fact that, hey, you took essentially a patriarch. So even though you're the one that committed the act, we're going to take your patriarch.
Yeah, and then they'd all be fucked.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this is what kind of contributed to feuds quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
There are some really good books on the Icelandic feuds.
Yeah, I think I got one of them somewhere.
There's like 4 or 5, and we'll have to list them.
Yeah, we'll do that in another.
Yeah, we'll put it underneath the link.
Yeah, we'll put it on our video.
Yeah. But, I mean, we also have the fact that, one, vengeance had to be delivered by the person, by the party that received it, in the terms of, by essentially the family. If somebody killed my father, then I would have to go and kill essentially them or their father. Or my brother would, or my cousin, or my uncle. Somebody related to me, or somebody a member of the vengeance party, or the sullied party, would have to go and commit the act. Mm-hmm. They must be done by themselves. I'm trying to remember what everything else. But basically, you had to go, and you had to go get your hands dirty, and you had to get them dirty.
Yeah.
So
it had to be by a weapon. It couldn't be because they fell sick.
Could be natural causes.
Or they just got old.
No, because then it would be a permanent loss of honor.
Yeah. Whoa, you done fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that brings into like the concept. I know he talks about the concept of the slave.
Yeah.
There's a story of a guy. His son was set on by slaves and murdered, and the guy let the slaves go He's like, he actually released them. He's like, go do what you want. And that's because it's not... the vengeance isn't about fulfilling an emotional need. And Gronbech goes into this. But it's not about fulfilling an emotional need. It's about fulfilling the fact that somebody is taking something from you. You must earn that back through blood. Since a slave had no worth in the wealth of the community, there was nothing to bring back. The slave had taken the honor, and there was no way to get it back, because by killing the slave, you would have earned nothing.
Yeah, because they had no worth.
So he literally set them free, because it wasn't an emotional response. And that's something that I think is very important, is that this was not necessarily an emotional response. I'm sure there were absolutely times that there were emotional responses. Somebody kills my son, that's an emotional response.
You done fucked up.
But it itself was more of just how society worked. Mm-hmm. So I think that's fairly important. They also talk about how like slave was the worst to be killed by, and then the next was a vagabond with nobody to speak for his name, because you could kill him, but you really haven't gotten much in return.
No.
So
still, again, in accordance to the community, you have no worth.
Oh yeah, or you would have lost something. The first like 5 chapters, I think, are probably the most integral to the beginner. They build what we call typically the worldview, and we've discussed this in previous podcasts. But this ties together the concept of luck, worth, honor. You know, all of these ideas, frith, all of these ideas are separate, but they're not.
Yeah, they all feed into each other in one way or another.
You can't have one without the others, at least to some degree, and then you can't maintain frith if you aren't getting honor, because it's going to cause it. Like, say, and there's plenty of examples of this in many, many stories, but basically somebody was murdered, and say it's like your brothers. Well, if you don't do anything about it, your mother is going to be constantly reminding you that, hey, your brothers are murdered, and you've done nothing about it. And there's no way to maintain frith at that point, because it's going to be a constant reminder. You know, there's no way to maintain worth at that point, because you've let your worth be taken because your honor's been taken. It's going to affect the whole schism of it all.
Yeah.
So,
and this is, I think, in this point too, is where it kind of gets important for us to understand the worldview, but we're never going to be able to have revenge killings again,
unless Fallout 4,
unless Fallout comes and you know, we're
if this comes post-apocalyptic, I mean, that's going to happen very quickly.
Yeah,
because one thing to remember is we're not looking at this from a modern society. We're looking at this from a society that had limited resources.
Yes.
If you took somebody's son, especially at an older age, like let's say you took a 19-year-old son, you have just taken a major investment of energy and time in an agrarian society. Mm-hmm. This kid survived a whole bunch of dangerous diseases, has not been maimed, and then he's the one that's going to be breaking his back, working on things. He's going to be the one, if some bandits come, he's going to be the one that fights them off. If you've taken that from them, you've taken a huge measure of their abilities. So they take it back.
In one way, shape, or form.
Yep. Or they at least equal the playing field.
Yeah.
So
actually, in the chapter on honor, too, it goes in a little further after they start talking about vengeance. They start listing some of the older culture's laws regarding vengeance and how to take it back. But then it also kind of bleeds into like the conversion period where it changes, where it became more of a restitution, like you have to pay for it, as opposed to I'm going to go and kill this motherfucker.
And that's actually something that's really funny to me. I don't want to mention too much because I do want people to read the book.
Yeah.
But the law itself was at one point completely like diametrically opposed from the culture concepts, and it was technically hypocritical. But every person, for instance, every thingsman who went and sat at the thing, listened with intent, with all intentions to obey the law. But if it came down to it, it was completely culturally acceptable. Oh, hey, someone just killed my nephew. Well,
time to go fuck somebody
up. Even though it was completely against the law.
Yeah.
And people be like, well, I mean, I can't really blame them. But they had an extremely structured law code that worked in theory, but did not always seem to work in practice.
Practice?
No, practice. So, I mean, it definitely points to the fact that they had this advanced law code that formed later, but had an older cultural tie to ganking motherfuckers. So,
yeah. I mean, this is like we've been harping. This is a pretty important book for any noob that wants to get into recon, or anybody that wants to claim they're heathen.
Anybody who wants to be a heathen needs to read this book.
Yes,
and we'll get into the readings in a minute. But this book, I give this to every new person, and I always hear the same things, but it's hard. And I always tell them the same things. Read the book. Because what's going to happen, you haven't been reading books like this.
No.
Of course it's going to be hard. Well, he's archaic. Okay, so half the other books you're going to read are archaic. Well, it's just so advanced. Okay, take it as a chapter at a time. Come to me if you have a question. Ask me what I think about it. Mm-hmm. We can discuss things. That's completely okay. The one thing I hate more than anything else in the world is when somebody goes, well, it's too hard. And I'm like, if you can read fucking high school books,
you can read this.
You can read this book. And frankly, you haven't been reading high school books. Twilight is not a high school reading level. All right, we're talking like an 8th grade reading level there.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey, maybe a 5th grade reading level. The fact of the matter is a lot of the garbage that you're reading are quick, simple bites that don't have any meat to them. This has meat to it.
Yes.
It's going to take you. It's like trying to learn to rewrite in cursive. Most people understand how to write in cursive, and you give them a little bit of time, they can get back at it. But if you tell them, hey, you need to write from cursive from now on, they're like, but I haven't done that since 2nd grade.
Tough break.
Exactly.
Better start learning.
Get over it. So this book, and we'll go ahead and get into the ratings. I've kind of already bled over into my
your rants, Riggs rants.
I've already bled over into the other opinions on the matter. But yeah, this book, I'm gonna go ahead and say importance to worldview. It's 10 motherfucking 10s out of dusty old tomes. 10 dusty old tomes out of 10. This is a huge primer of knowledge and crams as much in there as possible. This is meat and taters reading, and very much vital to understanding common basic concepts. Mm-hmm. Whenever somebody says frith, luck, they don't really have a chapter on worth in this book, but they definitely have mentions of worth. Honor. This is where a lot of people get those base concepts.
Yes, and I would give it 10 Volknots out of 10. And I mean,
Volkish Volknots.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, the importance of the worldview for this book is astronomical. I mean, you need to, if you haven't read this book, you need to pick it up. It's going to prime your brain to get ready to read some of the harder shit that's going to come further down the road. Because there's other books that are going to be collegiate, doctoral level books. I've seen them. Have I read them?
Half of the stuff we suggest are dissertations.
Yeah. Like One-Eyed God is going to be coming down the pipeline soon, and that's not going to be an easy read, but it's going to be enjoyable.
What is it? Medieval Germanic. Why am I blanking on this? James Russell.
Oh, Germanization
Yeah.
of early medieval Christianity.
There we go.
That's fuck, man.
Either way, that book, well, that and late, but that book is drastically much harder to read. What's another one? Piece of Horse Liver. Yeah. That's a dense piece of material. This is not bad. For someone who hasn't read it much, yeah, but get back into it.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to prime you to get ready, prime your brain to get it out of the middle school shit, get you to the high school level, and then move you up to college.
Which lets me go ahead and go to ease of read.
Yeah.
I give this 7 out of 10, I don't know, crusty library shelves of kids screaming how hard it is to read. 7 out of 10 crusty old library shelves with kids screaming how hard it is to read out of 10. I often hear how hard this book is. It can be a little thick, but never really gets that bad. I really do believe that many people have an issue because this is the first book many look at coming from a modern American reading ability. Not to get into the politics, but many modern Americans tend to read somewhere between the 7th and 9th grade reading level. When they first get this book, it's hard because it is a higher reading level. I would say it is easier than, like, for instance, Russell or Eliot, though they aren't as hard as when you finally reach these books. They aren't nearly as hard because you're finally processing it the right way.
Yeah.
So,
and it's going to build off of it too, because you're going to understand concepts of luck and honor and frith and all this shit, because they're going to bring it up and they're going to assume that you already know what you're talking about.
Well, and for instance, like let's say a Sacred Profane. Sacred Profane, which will probably be next month's, deals with the concept of the divine and proper procedure within the divine, and et cetera, et cetera. You have to know how society functions to understand how functions within the sacred space works. So,
yeah. For me, I'd probably give this book 8 Loki-kin out of 10 because I didn't think it was that hard to read. Like Riggs said, there's a lot of people that bitch and moan about it being hard to read, but it's not really that hard. So suck it up and drive on.
So knowledge required. Let's go. I say extremely little.
Yeah. You can
frankly, you can know nothing about Germanic culture. Pick this book up and read it. I like that this book is. It is getting late. Please forgive us. I like that this book as a first read because it literally is about everything about their life that you can fit into one book. It's not perfect, but this is good because it paints a picture of the subjects as if you've never seen it. Very little knowledge is needed to read. All you need to know literally is how to read. So
I can read good. And I also say that you need very little previous knowledge to go off of it. This is one of the top 10 books newbies get. Fuck the first top 2. Sure. This and probably We Are Our Deeds, because We Are Our Deeds breaks down some of the actual language and words that you'll pick up in this one too.
Well, that and it's much smaller.
Oh yeah,
We Are Our Deeds like 100 pages.
Yeah, you can read that in a single sitting if you buckle down for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, very little extra knowledge that you would need for it. So the overall review, Riggs, what do you got?
I'd give it 9 out of 10. Read the fucking book. So 9. Read the fucking book out of 10. It is a great book. Just read the fucking book. It can be a little long-winded. He can repeat himself a little bit. If the saga citations get a little long for you, you can glance over them a little bit the first time. I enjoy them. It's a good place for you to be able to go and look back really well. But if they get too hard for you at first, just glance over them. Next time you read this book, because you will read this book multiple times, you can get a little bit more in depth with them. But read the fucking book.
For me, I got 9 God Spouses out of 10.
Fucking God Spouses.
Again, this book is pretty detriment to building your worldview within a Germanic context. So if you want to claim that you're fucking heathen, read this fucking book and actually know what you're talking about, as opposed to just making shit up as you go. Because then you're not really heathen. Is that folkish?
I'm going to slap you.
All right, Riggs, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. One, we should mention some further reading we should definitely suggest.
Okay.
First is The Norse Concept of Luck by Summers. I've heard both of those. She takes and tears Gronbech apart.
There's some new one.
She literally just goes. She agrees with like the luck full parts of Gronbech, but she disagrees very much with the luckless parts of Gronbech. Mm-hmm. It's a good little article, only 20 or 30 pages. I highly suggest it. Quick read, good read.
I'd second that one too. It actually helps. It helps the reader understand what's going on with Gronbech, and when she tears him a new one, it complements when he talks about the luck fool part of his stuff.
Very much.
What was the second one? Honor in Germanic Literature?
Very much. That
was a good one too. It definitely supplements the honor chapters in Gronbech's book.
I mean, without a doubt. Now, that one's a little bit bigger than just a quick article. I think it's like 60 or 7 PDF pages.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Very good read, though. It goes into the whole how honor... frankly, Gronbech's chapter on honor was a little weak, but he also fit a lot in the whole book, so I can't really complain. Honor in Germanic Literature gives it a much bigger cross-section and takes it apart a lot more. Highly suggest. Good book. Or a good article.
That is damn near a book. It's pretty thick.
Yeah, I mean, it's decently sized. Another one I would probably mention is Blood Taking and Peacemaking, Feud Law and Society in Saga Icelanded.
There you go.
That was one of the feud books I was talking about. It's really good. It goes into... So Icelandic had a really big feud problem for a while. And they didn't really have a huge class system to help break that a little bit. They had a bit of a class system, but not They weren't nearly as structured as like Norway was becoming at that point and everything, but they had a lot of feud issues. Highly suggest that book. It actually is really good for Frith, if I remember. It goes really much into maintaining peace. So
Definitely, I got that. I think I got that sitting on my dusty bookshelf over there.
ever-growing bookshelf.
Yeah. Just some final thoughts from myself. There was a correction I need to make that after listening back to the first half, when I said I had a party with a bunch of 13-year-olds, old Dick Tip over here pointed out to me that it sounded really fucked up, so I figured I'd clarify. For my stepson had a big after-school party, no alcohol or nothing. It was just like a camp out.
You had a party with 13-year-olds.
Lots of meth, though.
I hosted.
Lots of meth.
Mongo finally wakes the fuck up. I hosted a little party for my son's end of school bash, and they were all 13 because he's in middle school. So that's why there's a bunch of 13-year-olds in my house.
I think you're going a little too in depth about it. It's all right though.
Shit happens.
It is. I think Kent had a quick correction as well.
Yeah, when I was talking about that French philosopher, author of Simula and Simulacra, it's Jean Baudrillard. I can't remember what I said, but whatever I said earlier was wrong.
It was all fucked up. Thanks, Mongo. And same with saying his name a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, that was my bad. I don't give a fuck though.
But yeah, I think you already mentioned before.
He's my hetero life mate. You leave me alone.
Greasing your god spouse.
Oh god, I'm gonna fucking slap you.
So
Got spouses.
We share a god.
So the next episode you kind of touched briefly on is going to be what, Sacred and Profane? We're gonna
Yeah,
cover?
I think we agreed to do Sacred Profane. It's a good book. As much as this really goes into the basis of society, Sacred Profane goes into the basis of, I don't want to say ritual, because it doesn't really go to the ritual as much, but the basic of what the divine is. Whereas a lot of times we get a lot of these questions. For instance, Afterlife, we have a book that we usually generally kind of give to them. Basic concepts, we have this book we kind of give to them. Sacred Profane is, I don't want to say a basic concept book as well, but it's probably the best first book that you can purchase about
Sacred Spaces.
Sacred spaces, the concept of what is sacred, the concept of what is profane. I cannot say it, but the Hierophanies, the whole concept of what is the divine. What makes gods gods? What makes man man? What makes sacred spaces the central location on Earth? And it goes into all of that. Really good little book. Easy to find on Amazon. I think it's like $8 or $9.
Yeah, it's never expensive.
I think I bought that for 4 or 5 people as gifts. But yeah, it's a pretty good little read. We can go ahead and break that out. We'll go ahead and review it. It does hit a couple big higher concepts, but it's not much bigger. So
Sweet. Well, I look forward to covering that in the next episode.
we'll probably have that out in the next few weeks, probably a little month or so.
Yeah, we've been kind of stacked and busy with stuff as he's got his fucking Heathmoon shit going on.
Yep.
I'm busy with work and drill and annual training coming up. Hooray!
Fun times.
Yeah. So, and
then after that, just to give a preview, we'll probably do a book blast.
oh yeah,
A couple
smaller
just
shit.
a couple just good short ones. We might actually just go ahead and do like honor Germanic literature.
Some of the smaller ones I got.
Yeah,
over
just
there.
quick, maybe a couple Lindsay articles.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Maybe do We Are Our Deeds.
Yeah.
Just a quick book blast of like 4 or 5, small books or articles that are pretty good.
Works for me, and we'll figure out how we're gonna divvy that out. But you got any parting shots before we roll?
Hate is gonna hate.
Hate.
Hey.
Make sure, we've already emphasized this on the first part, but make sure you submit any hate mail or any suggestions or feedback to hbrsucks@gmail.com.
Also, don't hesitate to share this podcast. We know it's fucking dumb and fucking terrible, but it's our podcast, and we like to whore out as much as we possibly can.
Yes, please.
So, share the podcast, laugh at us, tell us how terrible we are. Oh, we like it. Oh, we like when you slap us like that.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fucking god spouses. We do want to appreciate you for listening, or
Definitely.
say thank you for listening. We
Thank
do appreciate
you for
it.
listening.
We will. We'll be back in another iteration of the Heathen Book Review.
Yes. So, this is Wallace and
Riggs.
signing off from the Heathen Book Review. Fuck your face.
See, that still sounds like an English cutting house or something.
It probably is.